Alright, so Canelo Alvarez beats Jermell Charlo, 12 round unanimous decision. Scorecard 119, 108, and 118, 109 twice. Very good performance from Canelo Alvarez. Some would argue, and I can see why, a bit of a lackluster display from Charlo. You know, there was a couple of rounds, like the fifth round, where he got his shots together all right, but for the most part, he looked to me like he was in, I don't want to say like Callum Smith survival mode. He wasn't that bad, but he definitely was. I think he was intimidated by the power of Canelo. I think that he was rocked a couple of times in this fight. Obviously, he touched down in the seventh round. He was hit with a right hand on the temple, and Canelo followed up, and he went down, took a knee, took the 8 count, and was able to see that round out. I get the impression with Charlo, he is a good puncher at 154 pounds. But you need to remember a few things. One, he's gone up 2 weight divisions. He's in at 168. Yes, he's a big man, and God knows how he makes 154. But he's in at the deep end against the best in the division, and a guy who has very heavy artillery. Very, very heavy artillery Canelo has. Big punches, hard shots, good body shots, good combinations. And I think for Charlo, he's always been a fighter. He is a good fighter, don't get me wrong. If you look at him throughout the years, he's always been a fighter who's excelled when the opponent is coming at him, when he's got a nice easy target to hit, he can light them up, he can sit on his shots, and he's not really worrying too much about what's coming back. With Alvarez, he had to worry a lot about what was coming back because the shots were big, they were hard. Canelo looked good in this fight. He really did. I would say, if you ask my opinion, is Canelo in his athletic peak still? I would say no. I'd say he's probably starting to slide a little bit, but I don't think it's as dramatic as people are making it out to be. At the end of the day, 33 years old, he's not madly old. That's not really old in any sense. But I think the fact that he's been at top level now for over a decade, he's been pro now for 18 years he's been pro. And to still be at that level, to still be going through all those training camps, it's quite remarkable, really, considering the fact that Alvarez seems to have no sign of demotivation. He seems to just want to keep going, keep getting that resume and chasing legacy, I guess. You know, so he tried to fight Dimitri. Well, he did fight Dimitri Bivol at 175, lost that fight, obviously. But with Alvarez, you have to respect that, and you have to admire the fact that this is a guy is set up for generation after generation after generation, but yeah, he still wants to compete at that level. That's impressive. You know, it is. You often see fighters who they make one big payday and the motivation's just completely gone. It's like, right, well, I've set myself up now, I've got my millions, I'm good. Canelo, it's like that's irrelevant. It's just like, keep finding out what I can do next. It's a joy to watch, and obviously, you know, as I said, do I think he's still at his peak? No, but I don't think he's that far removed. I mean, if his peak was there, he's maybe about there on the slide. Now, it's not as drastic as I think some people make it out to be. With the greatest respect to John Ryder, yes, he didn't look amazing in that fight, but I think that's more down to the fact that he went and fought to the level of his opponent. Canelo is way above John Ryder. I think with Triple G is past it. He was 40 years old when they fought last year. And I think that with Canelo, it was kind of like just, you know, go through the motions, see what I can do. I'm not going to stop this guy and see how it is. So I think those two performances maybe had people worrying a bit more than they should. This was a very good performance from Alvarez. He picked the shots well. He looked to have a lot of energy in this fight. One of the criticisms of Alvarez is that he tends to fade late in fights. To be expected, he's a very thickly set man. You know, he's a big, strong guy, you know, big arms, big chest, big neck, everything about him is just big. And the way he fights very explosively, which can drain you. He's not going to be one of these guys who's going to throw pitter-patter shots and just try and pick up points. Canelo is going in there and he's throwing big shots, he's looking to hurt you, he's letting wicked combinations go. He's expended a lot of energy doing that, right? And sometimes in fights we do see him gas. In this fight we didn't see that. Throughout the fight, first round was very nothing really, and then Canelo, we saw him really take a foothold in this fight. It was all Alvarez for the most part in this fight. Charlo had flittering moments of success. You know, Charlo in the corner, they were saying, you know, let your hands go. It's not that easy when you've got someone like Alvarez throwing heavy shots, and you're thinking, right, I know I can let my hands go, I know I can hit hard, but I got to worry about what's coming back at me because this guy ain't playing. This guy hits like an absolute freight train. And I don't want to be in the way of some of these shots. I don't want to be taking them clean when I'm trying to land my shots and end up getting splattered all over the canvas. Saying that, Charlo did take some shots in there. He showed a good chin. He really did. He took some of those shots very well. Obviously, yes, he did touch down in the 7th round. He was legitimately hurt, but it was a voluntary, I'm taking a knee. I've not been dropped. I'm just taking a knee. I'm getting a count by the referee. I'm able to regroup. He was able to come through it. And then he was able to obviously see out the 12 rounds. Good performance by Alvarez. This is the first fight of his 3-fight deal with PBC. So the question then is who would he fight next? Obviously, Dave Benavidez, his name was mentioned. Canelo, I don't believe, is going to be back now until May. So the Mexican holidays, I think that's that's Cinco de Mayo. I think this was it was a couple of weeks ago. But September and May are normally his dates that are locked in. Would he be fighting Benavidez? The Benavidez apparently is going to be fighting Andre come November 25th, I believe they said it was. So would that look to set up Canelo? I think he's mandatory for Canelo. Would they look to set it up next year? Interestingly, you have Terence Crawford as well, mentioning Canelo, mentioning fighting Charlo, because there's talk Charlo's going to go back down to 154. I don't know how successful that's going to be for Charlo, because he's not made that weight for a while. I'm sure he had to cut to get to 168. Definitely, he's a big man, very big man. But to not have to do that, not have to make that weight for a while, to come back down to that, it's going to take an awful lot out of Charlo to do that. And I don't know if he'd even be able to do it healthily. And against someone like Crawford, who is as good as he is, that could end badly for Charlo. In terms of Crawford, obviously the Canelo fight is the one people are talking about. I have no doubt that if Errol Spence had beaten Terence Crawford, he'd have gone straight up to 168. Because Errol Spence has been talking about that fight for years. Years and years, going back before he even fought Sean Porter. Crawford's mentioning it now. They talked about doing it at a catchweight. I know Crawford was mentioning that. I don't think that's any way realistic. Would Crawford go up to 168 to fight Alvarez? Your guess is as good as mine. If he did, I'd be making Canelo heavy favourite. As good as Crawford is, there comes a time when weight and size is a factor. It's a big factor. And you could be the most skillful fighter out there, which Crawford is tremendous. But if you run into someone who's just bigger, stronger, it can make such a big difference. It really can. Bear in mind, Crawford won his first world title at 135 pounds. 33 pounds the difference, over 2 stone. It's a massive difference. It really is when you're going from such a lightweight to super middleweight, which is more, you'd say it's more a natural weight for the average man, but still, to go from that 135 to 168 is a massive jump, And you look at cruiserweight to light heavyweight, that's a big jump, but those guys are already big, huge men, cutting down from over 200 pounds. Whereas, you're talking about Crawford, who's more a normal-ish kind of way. I don't see that. I don't see that ending well for Crawford. That is pretty much the fight in a nutshell. It was a good performance from Canelo. He did what he needed to do. He landed the big shots. He landed some wicked body shots. People were claiming they were straying low. Charlo had his trunks up quite high, and some of them were on the belt line, and obviously high trunks. There you go. Now, they were fine. A lot of those shots, they were absolutely fine. Credit to Charlo for taking them, and credit to him for seeing the 12 rounds. At the end of the day, it's moving up 2 weight divisions. Yes, you were undisputed at 154. You're going in at 168. It's a different thing altogether. In terms of Canelo, I'm hearing rumours that Jermell is going to be fighting Jose Benavidez Jr. on the undercard of Dave Benavidez versus Demetrius Andre. Would he fight next against Canelo? Would he look to do both Charlos? To be honest with you, I think that Jermell, I would have given him the better chance of winning, because Jermell at this stage is over 2 years out of the ring. I don't see him having much in the way of firepower to beat Canelo at all, really. Crawford, would they really do it? I mean, in terms of money, that fight would make money, definitely, 100%. 100% it would make money. But would they actually go and do it? Your guess is as good as mine. Benavidez is the fight we want to see. I want to see him fight Benavidez. That's the one I really want to see. I hope they do it next year. Benavidez is Canelo's mandatory with the WBC, but we know the WBC and mandatories, it's a kind of a Yeah, it's mandatory for him. Oh yeah, he's no getting away from that guy at 160 pounds. I'm just making names up there, by the way. I'm not saying there is one, but let's just say some random champion at 160 or 140. Oh yeah, he's fighting his mandatory. But other divisions, Canelo. That's okay. That's okay. So yeah, he's mandatory, but what really is that worth with the WBC? Realistically, what is it worth? I'd love to see Canelo versus Benavidez. I think that would be a fantastic match. I think that it would do good numbers on pay-per-view. It would be fantastic. It really, really would. I hope that's the fight Canelo takes next. It's the one I want to see for him next. I'd absolutely love it. In terms of Charlo, obviously you have Tim Tszyu down there at 154, who was his mandatory with the WBO. That was a fight that it was actually announced for January this year. It didn't happen. Charlo had an injury, and then obviously this came up. So could they still do that fight? I'd quite like to see it. Charlo against Crawford, again, that's a good fight in of itself. I just don't see Charlo being as useful at 154 pounds now that it's been a while since he's not made it. He's a very big man, and fighting at 168. Maybe 160 is his preferred destination, but we'll wait and see what he does next. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. We'll talk more about this fight later on Review of the Week. We'll also talk about the Matchroom card. We'll talk about one or two of the fights on the Sky card, and obviously Otto Wallin, Murat Gassiev, which was not a very compelling fight to watch. I watched it live. It was a meh fight, but the right guy won, to be fair. Otto Wallin was the right winner. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, I will talk to you. Peace.